You took everything from me.
I don't even know who you are.
This is so bad, man. Finally, Marvel gets its act together. Finally, they make a good movie, and no one cares. Thunderbolts does not deserve the treatment it's getting. This is the best Marvel movie probably in 5 years, and it's the only Marvel movie that hasn't been a nostalgia bait film like Spider-Man No Way Home or Deadpool and Wolverine that I've actually really enjoyed. And unfortunately, I know exactly why nobody cares about this movie. There's like 4 reasons. But first, I want to talk about everything I love about this movie. This movie is so damn good. Number 1, the dialogue is so much better than anything we've seen in so long. I'm not cringing every other line. The humor is genuinely funny. The first scene where they had a real joke was in the scene when Yelena goes to the Red Guardian and they're talking, he's saying how much he loves his life, and they let a whole minute pass before they get to the punchline of the joke where he flips and is like, no, I hate this. It's not like groundbreaking humor, but it's a real joke that's not predictable and doesn't make me groan. I like how this movie recognizes that most people aren't going to know any of these characters, right? They were all secondary characters introduced in other movies that most people also didn't care about, and they just allow that. They just have them meet up in this organized scene where they all fight each other, you see all their abilities all at once, they give a brief exposition dump on who everybody is, and that's the end of it. And speaking of the action, oh my god, it's such a breath of fresh air. Just good, simple, well-choreographed hand-to-hand fights, not an abusive CGI mess. This applies to other things in this movie, but something they really seem to understand is that how cool something is all about the scope of the situation. Like Bucky using his fist alone to flip a Humvee is so awesome in this movie, but if it was in another movie with Scarlet Witch, it would look so lame. They understand you can make anything look cool as long as you build the story around it, which is something they took to every aspect of this movie and why it is so good. Why is Logan so good? Logan is so good because it's about 2 characters and their intimate relationship, and it's small in scale, and when it's small in scale, you can have lower stakes that still have impact. And that is like the whole philosophy of this movie. This is a world where the Avengers are gone, right? The threat is kind of a big deal, but it doesn't feel like a big deal. The story feels small scale. The team, they are not overpowered. In fact, the whole point is that they look pathetic if you compare them to pretty much any of the Avengers. And honestly, a movie like this is the direction they should have gone immediately after Endgame. They should have basically disbanded the Avengers, got rid of all that, and let these new people come in knowing they're underleveled, right? Having low self-esteem and understanding they are not living up to the Avengers, and let us know that so that we don't make that comparison outside of the movie. Let the characters make that comparison themselves. It puts us on their side and wanting them to live up to those standards. And even though I don't really like Spider-Man Far From Home, he was pretty much the only character they even tried to do that with, and I think it worked pretty well. But it's just funny, man, because you would think this movie would be most comparable to something like The Suicide Squad. But what it really reminded me of when I was watching it was the Sam Raimi Spider-Man movies. The story is so intimate, and it really explores the emotions and relationships between the members of the team, and between the heroes and the villains. That's probably what reminded me the most of it. But also, that scene when they're saving all the civilians from the debris and then the people of DC are clapping and cheering for them like they've become the people's heroes. That's what really reminded me of Sam Raimi. There's like an earnestness and a genuineness to it that you don't really see in a lot of superhero movies anymore because I think that they think that it comes across as cheesy. It's literally like the friendly neighborhood aspect that I think heroes really need a lot of the times, that it seems like movies kind of moved away from going into the 2010s and they all wanted to be like darker and grittier. And it's just kind of ironic, man, that this is supposed to be like the gritty movie and it has more heart than any of these other ones I've seen. Like, they remembered superheroes are supposed to save people. And the other thing that's really reminiscent of the Sam Raimi movies is the way Yelena actually has so many emotional moments in the movie and the way she talks down the villain at the end, right? Like in Spider-Man 2, Doc Ock gets his hands around his neck and then he talks him down and convinces him to do the right thing. And it's kind of a similar situation where the Thunderbolts are obviously not going to beat this like Superman character, and they have Yelena reach him on an emotional level, which is so nice to watch because that's what makes superheroes compelling, right? It's not really about the fight scenes, even though it's nice to watch. It's about them being an inspiring presence to other people. And even though the depression messaging is a little obvious on the nose, it's played so straight and the acting is so incredible, especially by Florence Pugh. She carries that whole part of the storyline. And the accurate description of what it's like was really good by Bobby. It's always being down and down and down, and then you have a period of time where you feel like you're invincible, you're on top of the world before it all crashes. And I love how that aspect of his character is visually represented by his superpowers, right? He's Superman in some parts until he crashes out, and then he turns into this despair monster. But yeah, the relationship of everyone on the team is so good. They're hilarious together, and the emotion between the characters really sells a lot of the heavier moments, especially Yelena and Red Guardian when they're talking on the street, and she's opening up about her loneliness and how he was never there and he doesn't care about her, and then he comforts her. That was all brilliant. That was the best scene in the whole movie, in my opinion. I love how John Walker is allowed to actually be a dick. And I like how Red Guardian really just wants the prestige and to be celebrated for being an Avengers kind of character, which he never gets, and then at the end of this movie he finally gets it and he's happy about it. That's nice. And also, Bucky Barnes, oh my god, this is how you use an OG character. He props up and motivates the rest of the team. He's like the inspirational figure that pushes him forward, and he's the perfect character to do it because of his past as the Winter Soldier. And what do you know? You can hand over the torch from the old generation to the new generation of heroes without making the old guy look like a fucking loser. Who knew you could do that? Apparently not Marvel until just now, but thank God they did that. He is so cool in this movie. They let him be larger than life and be better than the other characters, right? The characters are developing this movie. They don't need to be as good as the Winter Soldier off the jump. Bobby is really sympathetic as the villain too. He's basically just a nice guy who's maidenless, and then he goes hollow. And I really like how this movie did not end in a fight scene between Sentry and the Thunderbolts. That honestly would have been so lame. It would have been so forced if they even came close to beating this guy at all. There's really not much I don't like about this movie. I will say that while I like the President character, the scene where she's manipulating Sentry isn't great. It's so obvious and on the nose, and I wish the dialogue was more subtle and cunning. You know, I'm just thinking something more like what I'm about to do during the subscriber ad.
Just throw it!
Daddy's sorry!
And look, if you're not part of HeadCannon, what are you doing, man? You need to catch up. When I get to 20,000 subscribers, I will do a face reveal. And trust me, I'm pretty ugly. You're gonna want to see this, alright? But anyway, that manipulation scene between Elaine and Sentry could have been way better. More like when Walter White is manipulating Jesse in Breaking Bad. Because in here, it just seems like she says, you desire love and attention. I can give you that, come work for me. And I wish she had gave him that feeling without outright saying it, if that makes sense. You know, we as the audience should know the characters well enough that we can just understand what she's doing without her telling it to the character she's doing it to. Also, I didn't like the line in the car she had about how the Thunderbolts were such a bad group to team up and they're so broken. That seems a little on the nose also for this kind of movie.
What, we some kind of Suicide Squad?
But it's not a big deal. I mean, it's one line of dialogue. But overall, this movie is great, man. I'd probably give it an 8 or 8.5 out of 10.
Gotta say, it's fantastic.
And it actually makes me pretty excited for the future. I mean, if Star Wars is having a comeback with Andor, and Marvel has a comeback with this, I mean, who knows what the future holds? Maybe these franchises will become good again. Which is why it's so depressing that nobody cares about this movie. And I'll tell you the number one reason nobody cares is because the marketing for this movie was absolute dog shit. The trailer made this movie look like it was gonna be a Suicide Squad thing, which was garbage. And with a bunch of characters who all originate from projects that are pretty bad. Like Ghost? Who the hell even remembers Ghost? And she was from Ant-Man and the Wasp, which is a pretty hated movie by most people. Yelena has been in some stuff, but she originated in the Black Widow movie, which wasn't very good. Same with Red Guardian. I bet a lot of people haven't even watched that movie. Falcon and the Winter Soldier didn't do a great job with Bucky, in my opinion. I will say John Walker was one of the best parts of the show, but the show itself wasn't very good. So there was really zero reason to expect this to be good, from the way they presented it. Also, it follows about 5 years of Marvel just on a steady decline and people losing interest, so even if the marketing was fantastic, it would have lost a lot of people. It's the same thing that happened to Solo. I think Solo was actually a pretty decent movie, all things considered. It wasn't necessary, nobody wanted it, but for what it was good. But the thing is, Solo really failed because it followed The Last Jedi, and everybody hated that movie. That's a big part of what happened here, right? It follows a bunch of bad releases, and the only movie you could really compare it to is The Suicide Squad, and that makes it seem like it's gonna take all these edgy characters, and just 80% of the way into the movie they're gonna become good and want to save the world, you know? And that's not what this movie did, you know, let's give it credit. It did a really good job with these characters. This is what Suicide Squad should have been. But the other marketing thing they did was just a bad decision, man. When they went and they put the new Avengers over all those posters, that made me so much less excited to see it. That sounds so lame, right? How many times have we been promised a new Avengers team? It seems like they're just reaching at that point, you know? And the way they did it in the movie, where they use it, like the president uses it as a political tool to get out of the situation by deeming them the new Avengers, and everyone responds, they're like, these aren't our Avengers, or I like them, or whatever. I really like that a lot within the movie. But outside the movie, that makes it seem like this is going to be lame. But those are really the big 3 reasons why I think it's failing. 1, terrible marketing. 2, it's following a series of awful releases from Marvel over the last couple years. And 3, the only comparable movie was awful. I just really hope Marvel doesn't take the wrong message from this, because the movie itself is so good. Please make more like this. Don't take the wrong message. Don't steer clear of this because it failed at the box office. It failed because all your other shit sucks, not because it sucks. Learn the right lessons, I beg you. Alright, that's going to be it for this one. Thank you all for watching. Let me know what you thought of the movie. If you think Marvel will continue to bounce back, like the video, and join the channel, man. What's wrong with you? If you don't join the channel, I'm going to go full century. I'm going to unleash a wave of sadness on all the children at every house on the block, alright? You have 24 hours. And I'll catch you all in the next episode of HeadCannon.